Welcome to Asian American Life. I'm your host, Ernabel Demillo. In this episode, we address hot topic issues dealing with immigration and deportation and the impact it has on the Asian American community. We'll have more on that story, but first, here's a look at what's ahead on our show.
Stories Untold, Kyung-Yoon goes behind the voices of KoreanAmericanStory.org. Rolling in the Dough, Rayner Ramirez meets James Beard nominee chef Dianna Daoheung. Chino Latino, it's not just fusion food. Tina Beth Pina shares the history of this popular cuisine. Plus, my special report on the Trump's administration orders to deport Cambodian and Vietnamese refugees. This and more on Asian American Life.
Immigration is a hot topic these days, and while most people are focusing on our southern border, the U.S. government is quietly deporting Southeast Asian refugees, many who have been here most of their lives.
Deportation is going on a lot in the Southeast Asian community and is tearing families apart.
It's not gonna just impact one person. Like, yeah, one person is getting deported, but it's like the entire family, the entire community is shaken. And I am angry and I'm pissed.
A record number of Cambodians, many who came here as refugees when they were babies and youngsters, were deported in 2018. According to ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, the number of Cambodians sent back in 2018 rose 279% from 2017, and the community is feeling the impact.
Are people afraid, or are people nervous that that they could be deported?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are nervous that they might get to be picked up because, like, little minor things that happen that they've done in their past, they can get picked up for that also.
Justin Srey, whose mom fled Cambodia after watching the Khmer Rouge kill her entire family, is part of Mekong, New York's youth group, a nonprofit community organization. Recently, Mekong and other groups across the country held a week-long call to action to spread the word about the increased deportations in both the Cambodian and Vietnamese community.
Why is it important for you to be involved in this?
My community doesn't have a voice. I want to be a voice for my community.
While the media has focused mostly on immigration along the southern border, the Trump administration has been quietly deporting Cambodians and Vietnamese immigrants in record numbers. ICE is targeting former refugees with past criminal convictions, some decades old. While some are serious crimes, others are less so, including marijuana possession and DUIs, and all have already served their time. We reached out to ICE, but our calls were not returned.
You've served your time, but you still are issued a life sentence. I broke somebody's window, for example, right? I get a year in jail and I get released and I serve my time as a citizen, as a person contributing this country, and I'm still deportable.
Deportations of Cambodians started almost 2 decades ago. In 2002, the U.S. and Cambodia signed a repatriation agreement allowing refugees to be uprooted and sent back.
I'm an exiled American, and I can't go home.
One of those sent back was Kosal Kiev, a refugee who fled the war and grew up in California. He served time for attempted murder.
He was a child. He wasn't thinking straight.
At this magnitude, it was his first time.
Kiev, now a poet in exile, is the subject of the documentary Cambodian Sun, which was screened during Mekong's call to action. Kiev's story is now all too real for many who have found themselves on the deportation list, fearing they will have to return to a home country that really isn't home.
If a person who has no self-identity with respect to their home countries and they're in the United States as children, they've identified essentially as Americans. So when they return to their home country, it's highly likely that they can't really assimilate, like culturally, even if they spoke the language. The references culturally would be very foreign to them.
Licelle Cobrador is a New York-based immigration attorney. She said there is a real fear in the Asian community whether you are undocumented, here on asylum, or a refugee.
They're really scared that they're just going to be picked up. ICE will just knock on their door and put them in a van, or they're commuting and someone would just step in, or even like they're at work and someone would come in. But what I think is that's actually not unfounded, because these things happen today.
In fact, according to a Washington-based nonprofit, some 16,000 Southeast Asians have received the final order for deportation. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese community is also feeling the impact of changing immigration rules. Since 2008, Vietnamese war refugees were protected from deportation, but that exemption changed this past December, when the Trump administration announced ICE will now round up Vietnamese refugees with a criminal past. While most of the arrests are happening in states like California and Minnesota, where large pockets of Southeast Asians live, it's also happening here in New York.
Have there been deportations of people here in the Bronx?
Yes, there have been. And we are working on several cases right now, particularly the Vietnamese community. We have 3 that's been deported back to Cambodia. We have 5 cases that we're working on right now.
Chhoum, who has been a community organizer since she was a teenager, says the raids have triggered mental health issues in an already fragile community.
It triggers a lot of the anxiety and the fear, of losing your family once again.
More than 1 million Southeast Asians, victims of war and genocide, were granted asylum and resettled in the U.S. in the 1980s. It was part of the largest resettlement program in U.S. history. Many, especially the Cambodians, Laotians, and Hmongs, resettled in some of the toughest areas in the country. The community, already reeling from war back in their native country, found themselves in the U.S. struggling. The Cambodian community has one of the highest dropout and unemployment rates in the Asian community. And now, the deportations.
It's the sense of just never feeling like you're at home. But this has always been home for us, because this is all we know. For people my generation who came as baby refugees, like, the United States is home. We don't know any other home.
I'm Ernabel Demillo for Asian American Life.
Hi, I'm Tina Beth Pina, and there are several great restaurants in New York City, but one of the first cuisines that caught my eye years ago and keeps me coming back for more is Cuban Chinese cuisine. Ay, qué bueno.
These Chinese restaurants are not a new fad. Their cuisine is built on cultural integration.
A lot of people don't know about the Chino-Latino culture. It's not just a fad, that we want people to look at us and say, this is part of old New York.
Dinastia's menu has everything under the sun, from plátanos maduros to shrimp fried rice, and is only one of a handful of surviving Chinese-Cuban restaurants that once permeated the New York City landscape in the 1970s and 80s.
Almost every corner was a Chinese Latino restaurant, Chinese-Cuban. Just one by one throughout time, they just kept closing down. My dad once told me that he predicted that this business would be a dying business, simply because of everyone encouraging their kids to do something else.
And if he predicted that it was going to be a dying business, why did he go for it? And then why are you taking over?
I grew up eating Chinese-Cuban food, so it only made sense that I wanted to continue to serve it. I don't want anyone to forget about the cuisine and the history behind it.
Although Dinastia has evolved from serving strictly Cuban Chinese food to becoming a Chino-Latino restaurant with Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Peruvian dishes on their menu, to truly understand and appreciate Chinese-Cuban cuisine specifically, you have to go back to its origins in Cuba.
Que el chino elaboró en Cuba a partir de las cosas que encontraba, es decir, la yuca, el frijol, las frituras de malanga, y algún tipo de componente, ¿no? de algunas fritadas que siempre hizo el chino, ¿no?
Ernesto Pérez Jang is a third-generation Chinese-Cuban who wrote a book about the history of Chinese-Cuban food called La Cocina de los Chinos en Cuba.
Pero es un libro más bien basado en anécdotas, porque no queda nada sentado. Es decir, porque la gente lo ve como un libro de recetas, y yo siempre digo, no es un libro de recetas, es un libro en que yo trato de demostrar que en los restaurantes chinos se servía todo tipo de comida, española, africana, comida fusiones, como le quieran decir, pero también es una manera de hacer la anécdota de cómo se fueron formando, es decir, qué dimensiones tenía esa cultura, cuánto fue lo que se perdió.
According to Chang's book, Chinese immigrants arrived in Cuba in the 19th and 20th centuries as indentured servants who eventually prospered and worked in many trades, including the restaurant business.
Havana's Chinatown, or Barrio Chino, was once one of the largest and most prosperous Chinatowns in all of Latin America. Now, you'd be hard-pressed to find Chinese people or Chinese food here.
La revolución triunfa en el año 59 y trae con ella un gran proceso de nacionalizaciones. Llegó realmente a desaparecer, no había una atención sobre eso. Entonces esas personas fueron las que se instalaron en Nueva York, se instalaron en Miami. Creo que va a llegar un momento en que se perderá todo, ¿no? Es decir, los descendientes de chinos apenas somos el 1% de la población. De ese 1%, ¿cuántos se dedican a la gastronomía? ¿Cuántos recuerdan las historias o cuántos recuerdan el paladar de sus abuelos? Para mí, la tradición se ha perdido.
Restaurants in the U.S. are trying to keep the Cuban Chinese menu alive. That's what inspired restaurateur Marco Britti to open Chhaya Dao in New York City in 2014.
Being an immigrant myself, I felt like I wanted to dust off this part of history and bring it back to people that never heard of it before, but in a different way so New Yorkers could experience a quality of food that would be today's food.
There are currently 2 Chhaya Daos in Manhattan, and they both proudly showcase their Chinese-Cuban identity through their decor and especially through their menus.
The chef and I, we didn't want to step away too far from traditional food, like the most famous, fried rice in Cuba, vaca frita or ropa vieja, and find a way that they can have a common ground. So flipping vaca frita, and instead of using beef, we use duck, which is not much so popular in Cuban food, or using maduros in fried rice and elements that are more on the Spanish side, cilantro. But the biggest was the Cuban spring roll, because we wanted to give that real sense of eating a Cuban sandwich, but in a form of a spring roll to be dipped on a mustard sauce. So that is the killer, let's say, because everybody loved that, most of it.
And it's precisely that killer menu that blends the best of both Chinese and Latin dishes that will keep Chinese-Cuban and Chino-Latino cuisine alive and well for many more years to come.
It's not about sitting down and eating food. It's about being transposed into another place that maybe you've never been, but you wonder what it would be like. That's what we're trying to give to people, really. The experience of, music, the service, and the type of food that you're not going to find around the corner.
I'm Tina Beth Pina for Asian American Life.
I'm Kyung Yoon with the founders of an organization that's taking storytelling in the Korean American community to a whole new level.
My name is Chun Young-hee.
My name is Sang-guk Lee.
My name is Kwon Suk-kyung.
My name is Heng Sun Park.
These are some of the Korean Americans who are telling and preserving their stories for generations to come, thanks to an organization called KoreanAmericanStory.org.
I slept with my 45 under my pillow. When they shooting outside, I roll over and under the bed.
My father actually grew up during the Japanese occupation. He went through the Korean War, and he even served in Vietnam for Korean Army. He's a medical doctor.
H.J. Lee and Teresa Cho Lee launched KoreanAmericanStory.org 8 years ago because they saw a pressing need to record interviews with first-generation immigrants like their parents and grandparents. The idea blossomed into what they called the Legacy Project.
도저히 살아가는 희망이 없더라고요. 그래도 자살을 할까 이런 생각도 들어갔어요. 그랬는데 자식들을 보면 그럴 수가 없더라고요. 왜 이렇게 자식은 많이 낳는지.
We found these stories to be incredibly important for our generation, but also I think our children's generation and maybe their children's generation to really appreciate, because having that richness of history, I think, will really make all of us really have a sense of pride in who we are and the resilience of our people.
We do find that a lot of older Korean Americans, first gen, they're very reluctant to do their recordings. That's been a bit of a challenge for us to convince them that their stories are interesting and that we do want to capture them.
To date, KoreanAmericanStory.org has recorded nearly 160 legacy videos. All of the recordings are permanently archived at the Korean Heritage Library at the University of Southern California.
And the purpose of that is in the future when academics or researchers are looking at this period, looking at people who immigrated into this country, our histories are preserved through our voice, not by some other people writing about it, but it's a first-person narrative that we preserve.
H.J. and Teresa were both born in Korea and immigrated to the United States with their families in the early 1970s. She was 5 years old. He was 11. Their childhood immigrant experiences could not have been more different. H.J.'s family settled in Jamaica, Queens, which was home to immigrants from many different countries. Teresa's family settled in Ohio, where she was the only Asian kid in her class. Her memories of feeling isolated and being picked on in school for looking different were a big motivation for starting KoreanAmericanStory.org.
A lot of the work that we do, I definitely want to reach out to, especially the Korean Americans who are growing up in places like that, you know, where they do feel like they're the only ones. And to know that they're not.
Beyond the Legacy Project, the organization has intentionally widened its lens to include a diversity of Korean American stories, including those of biracial Korean Americans and members of adoptee and LGBTQ communities.
Well, I was always the favorite son. I never talked back to my parents. I went to West Point and they were so proud of me. They were always bragging about me. I knew that some part of coming out was sacrificing all of that.
How long did you have this business?
Recently, KoreanAmericanStory.org has ventured into producing a feature-length film called Happy Cleaners that tells the story of a Korean immigrant family with a dry cleaning store in Flushing, Queens.
Are you gonna work like this forever? Why can't you respect my decision?
We think sharing these authentic stories of the Korean American population, especially, you know, not the crazy rich Asians, but the everyday Asians, right? In Flushing or wherever in the Midwest, whatever it might be, we're building compassion, really, for others to see and know us. And so then it's hard to hate us once you get to know us, right? It's hard to think of us in a negative light when after you felt empathy, right, through a film by sharing someone's story.
It's a very specifically Korean American film. But the thing that was most surprising and, I mean, pleasantly surprised, that made me pleasantly surprised was how many people felt they could identify with it. Because I think what they saw was a story told through the lens of Korean American experience and perhaps some of the language, but it was a universal story.
What began as a way to preserve one immigrant community's stories continues to evolve and resonate for broader audiences that recognize the thread of humanity that weaves through our common experiences.
And KoreanAmericanStory.org is being approached by other immigrant communities that want to start similar platforms to tell and preserve their own stories. I'm Kyung-Yoon for Asian American Life.
The bagel is a New York staple, but a James Beard-nominated baker is putting a new twist on an old tradition.
Dianna Daoheung is in a class of her own. As executive chef and partner of Black Seed Bagels, she's elevating a traditional Jewish street food with a little bit of honey and a whole lot of fire.
The baking method is definitely Montreal on the wood fire, but the dough itself is more of a nod to New York. So we took inspiration from both. We have three different types of dough. So we do a rye dough, what we call a white dough, which is, your basic bagel dough. And then we do a multi-grain.
With sandwiches like its signature beet-infused smoked salmon and spreads like Tobiko cream cheese, Black Seed made bagels gourmet. But New York may not have gotten Black Seed bagels at all if she had not left a successful career in advertising to pursue what she learned to love from her mother, cooking.
She would literally force me to, grate my own coconuts and make my own coconut milk. Really, really early on, I, was forced to cook. I probably hated it at that time, but now that I look back at it, it really taught me skill sets that are, it might not be Thai cooking that I'm doing, but it's still a lot of the discipline that you learn as a kid.
In the 1970s, Dianna's mother fled the communist-led government in Laos, swimming across the Mekong River to a refugee camp in Thailand. There, she met a Buddhist monk.
My dad was, doing his monkhood stuff and basically helping the refugees, and then he fell in love with my mother and came out of monkhood.
They married and had 2 children at the refugee camp. In the early 80s, they came to the United States as refugees.
And then a year later, after coming to America, they had me. So I'm like the American mistake.
The family moved to Orlando, Florida, where her parents found work.
My mom was a housekeeper for the longest time. And then my dad basically worked on the assembly line, making the actual electronic component of transformers.
At first, Dianna says her mother was not pleased with her decision to become a chef.
My mom was just like, what are you doing? We didn't come to America for you to go back into the kitchen.
So she turned to her father for some sage advice. After all, he had returned to Thailand to become a Buddhist monk once again.
He's like, you know what? You should never do anything for the money. If you chase money, the money will run, And he really was like, we moved to America so you could be happy.
Dianna studied pastry arts at the French Culinary Institute, then worked as a line cook at the Mile End Delicatessen, where she met her Black Seed partners.
Good morning, how are you? In the beginning, when people would be like, oh, let me meet the chef, and I'd come out and I'd be like, oh, hey, I'm the baker, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, no, can I speak to the real baker? And I'm like, I'm that person. Being female and obviously automatically being Asian, they were just like, but this is a Jewish food. But I think, it's part of living in New York. It's part of living in America. Once you live in such an amazing country where there is so many different cultures that you're touched by, you don't have to be Italian to cook Italian food. You don't have to be Thai to cook Thai food. So one of the best Thai chefs isn't Thai, And I think it's an amazing thing that's happening. I hope the world becomes like this. I love the fact that I have this special niche in Jewish food.
And the accolades for Black Seed Bagels continues. This daughter of refugees has been nominated for the James Beard Outstanding Baker Award in 2017 and again in 2018.
My story is unique, but it's not that unique in the whole Asian American life, and really having that first generation drive and really wanting to fulfill what our parents came here for, Just so we could be happy and not struggle like they did.
What she loves most, she says, is to see people's reaction as they bite into one of her bagels.
Black Seed Bagels is opening up its 4th location in Brooklyn. For Asian American Life, I'm Rayner Ramirez.
One Day's Wages' mission is to end global poverty. It all started when a family decided to donate their year's wages so that you would be inspired to donate just one day of your wages. Here's their story.
One Day's Wages is a nonprofit, grassroots humanitarian organization that my wife and I and our 3 kids started in 2008 because we wanted to remind people, including ourselves, that all of us were philanthropists. My wife and I, after seeing People suffer through extreme poverty in other parts of the world. We spent some time thinking, praying about what we should do, how we should respond, and we were convicted to give up a year's wages. And I say that not to be boastful, but it took us 3 years to simplify our lives, to save as much as we could. And after 3 years, we donated 1 year's wages. And then we tried to invite as many people as possible to consider giving just 1 day's wages. And 100% of that donation would go to partner with organizations around the world to empower those who are living in extreme poverty. But it's been just humbling and amazing to see so many people from over about 50 countries. We've raised nearly $5 million. And again, it's a response to conviction about mercy, justice, and compassion.
That's our show for now. If you want to learn more about our stories, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Asian American Life. I'm Ernabel Demillo. We'll see you next time.